As you talk sports here, we're down at Daley's gym here in London. How are you doing today?
Good, very good.
So obviously Daley's training Kenny, Martin, and obviously a lot of the fighters and Deji. We're a couple of weeks after the KingPyn tournament. How do you think Kenny's going to be? How's he feeling?
No, he's feeling great. Obviously, we've gone back to the drawing board. It's about having a balance, still teaching him the right way, like I would do with my professionals, but also influencer boxing is a different world to professional boxing, so I have to cater to that, which is give the fans what they want to see. So we've been working on still staying true to what we believe in, but also getting him to have more output, higher volume, more aggressive in the moments he needs to be aggressive. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, because obviously we see a lot of the fans saying, "Oh, Kenny needs to put in more output," but there's a fine balance. You can't just go out there swinging. How have you managed to find that balance between calculated aggression?
By what I realised is because he's getting taught very advanced stuff and he's picked it up well, like the fundamentals, very quickly. I've realised that he can't be sparring people around his level. So we've got in top sparring. My professional 8-0 fighter Martin has been sparring him. We've had top amateur champions sparring him, undefeated pro fighters sparring him. So that's been the biggest thing, to bring something out of him and let him realise what needs to be done when fighting in the trenches.
I saw today obviously you've been sparring with Martin, and obviously he's a professional fighter. He's obviously a lot higher level of fighters at KingPyn. Do you think that Kenny being in there with such high level ability in sparring, do you think that makes it a lot more easy when he's fighting the influencers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's different when you get into the ring under the bright lights. You know, your mentality can change, so you need to be able to replicate what you're doing in the gym, in the real fight. But by having people like Martin to spar, I expect him to go in there with that attitude. Like, if I'm standing toe to toe, you know, and taking shots off a high level professional fighter, and then what are these influencers are going to do to me? You should go in the attitude like these influencers are nothing compared to what I've been doing in training with high level fighters, you know.
Yeah, and obviously we've got lots of different skill levels in this tournament. Who do you think would be the hardest matchup for Kenny?
You know what? I'm looking at one fight at a time. It's a tournament, so you're gonna have to fight one of the so-called best ones anyway. And I think, based on what I've seen, that Nate could be one of the hardest fights. The potential to be one of the hardest fights because he has like decent fundamentals. He trains in Thailand. We all know, well, I definitely know that people that train in Thailand, you know, they train hard. You know, so I know he's going to be competitive. So yeah, I'm not really looking at other fighters. I'm looking at the fight that we have and getting past Nate first.
Do you think because my main Nate is obviously not one of the most famous people, do you think they're looking over his ability because they've already seen him in the past?
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're thinking, oh yeah, Kenny's just going to beat him up, knock him out. But this, all influencers, a lot of them are on a similar level. A lot of them, they're not professional fighters, so a lot of them are on a similar level. A lot of them might talk like they're Mr. Big Shots, you know what I mean? Like they've done something, but in reality, none of them have done anything. You know, they're not professional fighters. They're people, they're influencers that are using their audience and they've decided to go down the road of boxing, and they're all fighting each other. I don't really see any, and Tommy Fury showed that against Jake Paul. And I don't even rate Tommy Fury, you know what I mean? But it just shows you the fundamentals, the difference in the fundamentals, you know, that you need in boxing. You know, Jake Paul didn't have it, Tommy Fury had it, and that was the difference.
And a little bit of this, you know, yesterday was the Misfits press conference, and Carla said that hopefully we'll be able to see Deji on the Misfits show on May the 13th. How do you think, have you got any names you could tease that Deji could be coming up against on that day?
No, there's a lot few options. That's all I can say. There's a few options. So we're just waiting, and all we're doing is staying in the gym, you know, staying professional by, you know, him being disciplined with the training. And then, so when we do get the phone call and go, yeah, it's on, we're ready.
Yeah.
We don't have to get ready, we are ready.
Yeah, and obviously we saw you won against Fusi, then obviously it's a bit different against Floyd Mayweather. Nobody's expecting him to win. How has it been adapting to training from Floyd, you know, to coming back down to the influences?
Yeah, it is hard. You're going in with Floyd Mayweather, one of the greatest fighters to ever live. You know, it was a big show. Like, that show was much bigger than like Floyd versus Chalmers at the O2. It was in Dubai, you know, sold out arena. The press tours to Vegas, to London, you know, the build-ups, the documentaries behind the scenes. So yeah, to go from fighting Floyd to then potentially fighting influencers again, yeah, that is hard mentally for anyone. You know what I mean? But obviously, there comes a time, if he wants to box, he has to switch that mentality and be like, well, you know, Floyd has gone, that was a great experience, and I'm going to use that experience against these other people.
One thing I've noticed from being down here is that you don't put any corners. I saw you with a young amateur, and he was not putting his elbows down, but you're saying, even though at this moment it's not going to be in the amateurs, it's not going to be much of an issue. When you're there, in the professionals, you need to iron it out. Do you think that the level of consistency and the sheer effort that you put in training is the reason why we've seen Kenny, who's not really been boxing as long as a lot of the influencers, close the gap so quickly?
Yeah, exactly that. And what people have to remember is, like, these influencers have had no experience, and they just come out of nowhere and they're getting chucked in the ring to fight. You know what I mean? So if you talk about like amateur boxing, they go through so many fights before they even turn professional. And a typical high-level amateur, a lot of them have lost about 20, 30 fights. You know, but the influencer fan base, because they're not, and I'm not saying all of them, because some of them are clued up, but a lot of them are not clued up on boxing. You know what I mean? So they just expect certain things so quickly, but it doesn't work like that. If you've got Olympic boxers that have lost 10, 15, 20, 30 fights, because that's what amateur boxing is about. It's not about winning or losing, it's about the experience to mold you for the future of becoming a professional. Obviously, the goal is to win more than you lose and win championships as you go along, but the losses in amateur boxing is normal. So effectively, these influencers, they're amateur boxers and they're learning on the job. So you're going to get influencers that lose. You're going to get influencers that make mistakes, you know, and they need to learn from them. And you know, that's boxing and that's life, and that's what the influencer fan base have to realize. You know what I mean? That you can't rush this game. There was that amateur not too long ago that died. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm trying to bring my professional duties to the influencer world. Make sure whoever I'm training, they're 100% safe and they know how to protect themselves in the ring. Then the entertainment aspect comes after that. You know what I mean?
So obviously a little bit more marketing now. You won the last fight in the last week's fight on April 28th. What can we expect to see from marketing in this next fight?
Just another demonstrating what a future star he is. You know, he's got everything to be a star in the super middleweight division, and he has to continue to show that. He's improving every time in training. He's one of the most dedicated fighters I've ever come across in my life. So yeah, I'm hoping for him to, you know, display on the April 28th another high-level boxing display, and we like knockouts. That's the aim, is to knock your opponent out. So he knocked his last opponent out in the second round in a brutal knockout, and let's hope the same again.
Yeah. And obviously, in the next year and a half, let's say until 2024, can we expect to see any like titles and possibly like local titles?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, he's after this fight, he'll be 9-0, and we're starting to move into those double figures. So yeah, this year I want like a minor title for him. Not really bothered about the southern area titles and all that kind of stuff. More like the intercontinental, international titles. You know, like a WBA, WBO, IBF, or a WBC silver belt. You know what I mean? Something along the lines like that, so it can give him a good ranking.
And then do you believe throughout, like in the further years of his career, that we can see him launch as a world champion?
No, yeah, 100%, 100%. I've never seen anyone as dedicated and as him.
Okay, thank you very much for joining me in this interview, Daley. I don't want to keep you too long.
Thanks
Let's talk sports. Thank you very much.